Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session of our Lunch and Learn with the City Forest Officer today, Wednesday, June 9th. I'm really excited to have several staff members for Recreation and Parks here with us. We're going to kick it off with watching a YouTube video. I know y'all are excited as you're starting to eat your lunch, getting a chance to see a little bit of the site that we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to watch this video about a very specific project within the Commonwealth Nursery at Griffith Park. And then we're going to step back for a second and talk with Recreation and Park staff about the Commonwealth Nursery site as a whole and kind of their thoughts about the current use of the site and vision for its future from the department's perspective as the caretakers of this space. I'll add that one of the things I really enjoy about the video and this project and the opportunity to talk about it is this is part of Griffith Park where the public we don't have the public coming in. This is a site that's used as a maintenance yard. It's a site that's used by a couple different organizations, but is not part of the publicly accessible part of the park. So you're going to get to visit kind of via drone and video footage here a little bit, and then we'll talk about the space. So I'll go ahead and start the video.
Commonwealth Nursery is a public-private partnership to grow climate and community resilience in Los Angeles. Located on a historic 11-acre site in Griffith Park, the heart of LA, Commonwealth serves as an urban ecological laboratory and training grounds in support of LA's urban forest and tree equity goals, creating a more livable city for all Angelinos.
Welcome to Commonwealth Nursery.
Come check it out.
Partnership is in our DNA. City Plants is a nonprofit partner of the City of Los Angeles, working with city agencies, nonprofits, and community leaders to plant and distribute thousands of free trees to the public each year, thanks to support from the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Our new nursery came alive when we received a donation of thousands of tree saplings, reigniting a historic effort to revitalize the Commonwealth Nursery, which served as LA's municipal nursery in the 1930s. Thanks to support from the Department of Recreation and Parks, we're now able to care for the current stock and plan to expand our growing operation to cultivate trees from locally collected seed. Through research, partnership building, and community engagement, the City Plants team is working alongside our partners to restore, protect, and enhance LA's urban forest and tackle tree canopy inequity across the city of LA. With the rising threat of climate change, it is more vital than ever that all communities have equal access to the benefits of our shared urban forest. From life-saving shade and urban heat island reduction to improved air quality and mental health. Commonwealth Nursery is a catalyst to make this vision of equitable access to green space in LA a reality. City Plants works hand in hand with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps to grow thousands of climate-appropriate trees for the future of our city. Thanks to this partnership, young Corps members have the opportunity to learn nursery best management practices, arboriculture, propagation, and native seed stewardship. Working directly with native, locally sourced tree seed will allow youth to learn the process of propagation while creating a more biodiverse, equitable, and resilient forest for all Angelinos. Our goal is to train the next generation of urban forest stewards and grow the green jobs of the future. Trees grown on site will be distributed to the public through the City Plants LADWP Free Tree Program and support various green infrastructure and ecological restoration projects throughout Los Angeles and beyond. We know that from little seeds grow mighty trees, so let's work together to grow a greener and more vibrant future for Los Angeles.
Well, I always like to spend lunch in a park, so I'm really glad I got to share that with you all. And I know that the somewhat credits at the end of the partnership is a long list. And today we don't have all those partners joining us, but I'm sure in the future we'll hear more from DWP, Parks Foundation, LA Conservation Corps, and others that are involved with projects at the site. So now we got to see that video, which is in part a proposal for the LA 2050 challenge, which City Plants has been considered a finalist for that project. And I wanted to just share that footage and that project that's happening on the site. But now we're going to talk a little bit about the space itself within Griffith Park, the Commonwealth Nursery space, which again, that project we just saw is a portion of. So we have with us Javier Solis, who's a superintendent for maintenance and operations for recreation and parks. We have Craig Rains, who's acting landscape architect 2 within the capital projects and planning group. So looking at new park spaces and capital planning. We also have Juan Leon, who is our senior superintendent or supervisor within the Griffith Park area. And I'm sorry if I got your title wrong, Juan. And Leon Boroditsky, who is a tree surgeon supervisor within the Recreation Parks Forestry Division. To talk a little bit more about this space. And if you all want to bring your videos back on, I'm going to start off with a question for Javier. I just want to know a little bit about how are Rec and Park staff using the Commonwealth Nursery space currently? What are your kind of current needs of that space? How does it function? And any thoughts you have about its current and potential future use?
Thank you, Rachel. So yes, currently the Commonwealth Nursery area is used by our maintenance staff who report directly to that area. It's a common space that's shared with other entities. Staff there report there, and then they have their equipment, their supplies. It's the central meeting point. From there, they go out and service our parks. They go out and service Griffith Park. They have their meetings there. They have their trainings there. So it's the core area where they meet, and then all the direction comes from there. They coordinate there, and then they go out and provide the services to the park in general.
So the Griffith Park itself is about a quarter of the total acreage of all of our parks, is my understanding. And so the crews that go out to maintain Griffith Park deploy from that site essentially. But my understanding is it also is the maintenance yard for another section of our parks as well. Is that accurate?
So there's a small group that also reports there that services other areas of the park that are not of Griffith Park, but neighboring parks. But yes, we do have a satellite yard that also reports there. And then obviously we have other yards within Griffith Park that service other sections of Griffith Park. As you mentioned, Griffith Park is a very large regional park. So yes, the Commonwealth Nursery is one of the service yards, the main service yard within the park.
Great, thank you. And I think that's important to understand as we look at a space. It's a hub of activity already. We have a lot of staff that are using that space to move forward with their day-to-day work of taking care of the park. I know that one of the things that I found really interesting as I've heard a bit about this project is some of the kind of dreams of Rec and Park staff for the use of the site for the future, kind of maybe hearkening back to how it was used, somewhat of how it was used previously, and some additional thoughts about the use for improving staff training and other things like that. Craig, do you want to talk a little bit about the kind of that historical vision that's been passed down or discussed among Recreation and Parks staff over time?
Sure. Thank you, Rachel. I can't even remember how long ago it was when I first sort of got involved with this project. And I think I believe it was with Tom Gimson, him and I, and we had to come up with something for our then director to present back back east at some sort of conference. Anyway, what came out of it really was we got really excited about using the space or developing it as an opportunity to train rec and park staffs. And even, reinstating the Gardner Take Care Gardner series and elevating that, giving it more levels, steps, and making horticultural practice, developing a space where you can develop horticultural practices for the department, for its parks, to get people excited about those. And then, as the sustainable kind of thing more, started coming up, a great opportunity there to fold in, native plant material, seed propagation, the understanding the principles behind each step of the process, and really allowing a spot for staff to come in and get a good base skill level to go out into our parks and, take care of parks, plant natives, take care of natives, collect seed, bring it back, understand, what is necessary to, get those to grow into, little guys, that kind of thing. So that was probably the main impetus. We even got to a point we started thinking, we got a little outside of our head and think, oh my God, this could be a park centerpiece, much like it is up in the Golden Gate Park, up something like that. Just, being a landscape architect, love nurseries, love getting out into nature and stuff like that. But we really thought, this area could be a showcase, and all while still maintain all of our maintenance needs too, to kind of bring that up and to kind of, have everything fold in nicely. So, that was a bit of a pie in the sky kind of thought. But the reality of staff, teaching staff, getting staff excited about what they're doing in the field and how important it is, to have those and to do what you guys are, to do what they need to do. So that's it in a nutshell. So
yeah, that's really great. And I think it's good for us to dream a little bit, or to see the city staff also dream about, the spaces and opportunities, not only to, again, provide really great care for our parks as things change, but also to care for our staff in terms of giving them those tools and experience to really do their job well and feel empowered. And I hear you kind of talking about maybe adding some additional classifications within the city realm of how we hire positions, but that kind of creation potentially too down the road.
And just kind of elevating those positions, give them a higher kind of more energy, more status, make people aware of the importance of what we do through forestry, through maintenance, through planning and all that kind of stuff. So
great. Leon, I wanted to make sure we heard a little bit from you, just in terms of, I know that you've advised the group that's working on this specific project, and obviously as a Rec and Park staff member have been involved in these other conversations around staff training. What kinds of things have you been kind of thinking about and involved with, thinking about the Commonwealth Nursery?
Well, we're talking a lot about sourcing local seeds and propagating, trees. Besides the importance of the workforce development and the staff training, looking at from an arborist point of view, the ability to have a little bit more control over the sourcing of my plant material. Nurseries are an unreliable and limited source for trees, and our park system has one of the most diverse urban forests in the world, with over 450 named species. And sourcing most of those trees are not in the nursery trade or available, and the ability to source seeds from our own urban forest in Los Angeles and to propagate those and return them back into our inventory system, giving us a more resilient urban forest through a diverse canopy is real exciting. It's, right now, one of the hot topics really with climate change and rapid, change of climatic zones is looking for trees that are more climate resilient, ones that aren't currently limited to a small range of geographic distribution. So, looking to find trees that are going to be around in 50 years is real important.
And I think we could probably have a whole session talking about nursery stock and genetic material, because I know that's some of the area where I've gotten excited, is just thinking about some of the really beautiful large stature trees we have in our parks and the opportunity to take seed from those and see the kind of next generation of those plants, because they won't be with us forever. I think that's an interesting component, as well as the ability to potentially I know Javier had mentioned to me earlier that this opportunity to propagate even some native seeds from native plants in our park system is also a great opportunity potentially at this site. And it was part of the reason that City Plants and you all agreed to take that original donation of trees that kind of jump-started the project we just saw, was because it was trees that are ones that we would like to be planting, including some natives. Juan, I don't know if you have anything you want to add in terms of, again, that balance of, what the existing site is used for and kind of your vantage point as someone who's looking at Griffith Park specifically. And you're muted.
I'd have to piggyback on what Leon and Javier said. I think just the idea of having to take something that came from within the parks and giving that back to the parks itself, I think is something that that's very, very exciting. I know that when it was discussed at the beginning, I kind of had my doubts in regards to what exactly was being discussed in regards to this idea, but now over the last, I'd say, year, 2 years that I've been involved with the overall overview of what's going on there, I'm very excited, and I'm very excited even for some of our new staff, that obviously is going to be coming into our department, either as part-timers or full-time staff. I mean, Javier earlier discussed, and I think he covered that this would be a really, really good training for some of our new staff, so they have an understanding of what their purpose is, as a civil servant that we work for the public and for the parks. So myself, I'm excited about it. I can just say that I know by talking to a lot of the people that have been involved with the park, I mean, over the last 10 or 15 years, and what they see going on at the nursery, they're excited about as well. Some of these volunteer groups that want to get back into the parks, that's what they talk about. Well, we do have an option of LA trees where we can start to implement some of the stuff back into the parks. So that in itself is a plus.
And I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning, which is this is not a part of the park we want anyone wandering over into, although I'm sure at some point there may be some small volunteer events to get your hands dirty with those seedlings as well. Javier, I don't know if you wanted to just share a brief overview. I know Craig kind of laid out this vision for a future training and additional ongoing training for staff, but can you just, for those who may not be familiar, share just a tiny bit about the training that you already do for staff, the existing training program that has been, I hear, on a pause, over the past year and a half. I'm not sure why, maybe the pandemic caused that, but can you share a little bit about that existing program that you have? And you're also muted.
Sure. So yes, the Department of Recreation and Parks and Maintenance Operation has like a 10-week training course where we train our employees, from A through Z, from cleaning restrooms to planting trees to care of trees, soil science, just a bunch of things that employees need to be aware of and how to do it correctly. So it's a training course that we have, and we have we posted 3 of those already. Just last year, the pandemic and just the inability to hire staff, we had to put a pause on that. But now that the budget is looking promising, we hope to activate our training course again. And when we reactivate our training course, I think it'd be extremely important that we marry the training with the training that's going to take place at the nursery. I think it's extremely important for our employees to understand native trees and seed propagation and all those good things, and the care for native trees, and what better than obtaining our seed bank from our own backyards and growing them at the nursery, and then from there taking them out into the park. So from step 1 to step 10, we would like for our employees, our new employees, and even existing employees to take on that training. But yes, I think it's extremely important that we continue the training and incorporate the training from the nursery into our 10-week training course, whether we make it 10, 11, or 12 weeks, whatever it takes, but we will incorporate it because it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Great. And if I will just say, we do have about 8 minutes for questions. So if you have a question for the staff we have with us today, or about the specific project, the video show, that's why Rachel O'Leary is here, but with video off, in case there was a question from the public about the specific project that we couldn't answer, we have her on hand. But I do want to say, in terms of what Javier just shared with the budget, those of you who are watching who have been advocates that participated in the budget process and spoke up and talked about the need for recreation and parks, particularly maintenance staff, I know that we're all really grateful that you shared that was important to you during the budget process, because it's really important work that this team is doing in caring for these public spaces that we all get to enjoy. Anything else? I don't see any questions at the moment, though I will keep my eye out. Anything else that any of you would want to add in our kind of remaining time? I'll go ahead and throw in the chat while we're waiting to see if we have any questions. The specific video that we shared was related to the LA 2050 challenge, and City Plants has been, this Commonwealth Nursery project being led by City Plants was selected to be a finalist for that grant challenge. And so they are, the voting doesn't start until June 21st. So you're just getting you've now seen their video. So if you go on the website, you can check out the other different finalists and look at the different project categories. I know that you can vote once in each of the 5 project categories, and they're selecting winners from each of those. It's live, learn, connect, play. Oh, and I'm forgetting the 5th one. So you'll have to check out their website. But just as an FYI, that is what that is about. We have a couple questions. One is, will there be opportunities for the public to get involved? Again, my assumption is, again, this is a part of the park that you have to enter through a residential neighborhood. We definitely want to be cognizant of our neighbors. And I know that there isn't a huge volume of people that go to the site aside from that maintenance staff and the couple groups that are located there. But thoughts from any of you about opportunities for the public to be involved with what's happening in this space?
That has been discussed probably pretty thoroughly in a very controlled context early on, possibly. The park, a lot of the reason as to, there's a lot of structure, a lot of issues there that are really unsafe. And so limiting, keeping the public access to a bare minimum, or at least under strict control, like through LA Parks Foundation, and very limited small groups through City Plants, very limited small groups. Possibly that could be broached now, but as you know, we prefer to keep the public out as much as possible.
I can concur that I've gotten a chance to walk the site, and I've seen the buildings that it's like time stood still, right? The buildings, the existing municipal nursery function ended, and they were just kind of left there. So I definitely hear you on the kind of safety component. We don't want to put people in a place where it's not would not be safe. Another question is, how many trees are currently being raised in the nursery? Rachel, I don't know if you'd be able to answer that question, the approximate number of trees currently in the nursery?
Yeah, it's we're still wrapping our minds around that number, but the donation we originally received was about 8,000 trees. So we haven't done a full inventory yet. We've been focusing on keeping them alive, but it's about 8,000. And we're of course really grateful to Recreation Parks for letting us use the space and being partners on this journey, and to DWP and the LA Parks Foundation as well. So super happy to be working with folks on this project.
Yeah, you've got a corner of the nursery that's active with these tree donations that we got from the University of Redlands and LA County Fire, which is a byproduct of the pandemic. They had big tree distribution events planned for last spring with the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. They had to cancel them, and they were worried about the trees. And thankfully, this collaborative was able to step in and say, I think we have a space for them, which is why you see them in the video being potted up. They came and they were about to outgrow their containers, and we know that we don't want to have them stay there. So the LACC team has been potting them up and keeping them alive, which is great. I have one more question, and someone's requesting a link to the video. If you go to the LA 2050 website, there is the video is there amongst the other finalists as well. You can see their video again, but I'll throw that YouTube one in the chat. Oh, thanks, Rachel. The other one is, are there any plans to maybe offer tours of the site? And I think it's a similar question of, there's been really limited access, and that's probably going to continue for the future, is probably a fair estimate.
That's correct. Unless somebody wants to, come in and donate millions of dollars, it's, but it'll be limited, yes, and probably more through LA Parks Foundation, city plants, but it probably will be limited, but who knows? So.
And I'll add the opportunity for the public to be involved potentially off-site. I think that there may be more, if there is a training on kind of seed collection and propagation and those kinds of things, that might be something that people could do, not at the nursery site, but off-site.
Definitely taking what we're putting together forth here, and then taking it out to other parks, or for seed gathering, or just observation of certain plant materials and such. Yes.
Leon, did you want to add anything to that, just in terms of public participation?
I think it's been well stated, that knowing that there's 2 service yards that are running a lot of trucks and equipment, and already a lot of traffic going through the service yard, it's not the ideal place to be hosting events. But as far as seed collection and the opportunity to maybe get these plants into the ground in a park or into another site, is definitely in the works. And as for recreation and parks, we rely heavily on our nonprofit partners and the volunteer forces that they garner to get their work done. So there'll definitely be plenty of opportunity to
either help plant the trees when they're ready to go into the park, or again, this end of the nursery propagation side of things. I think we're still a little bit in the Wild West in terms of what that programming would look like, right? I mean, that's something that is a more aspirational piece that City Plants and yourself and others are thinking about, is what could that look like in a sustainable way that's really gonna meet our needs and meet best practices, I'm guessing. Well, with that, we're just about at time, and I think we have answered all the questions we received. Thank you guys so much for coming on today and sharing a little bit of your expertise and knowledge, and helping us again kind of peek behind the fence a little bit in a part of a park that we can't get to, where there's some really cool activity happening. So I really appreciate it. And for those of you who regularly come to the Lunch and Learn sessions, we are going to be having the next one on June 30th. June 30th, Wednesday. It'll be the 5th Wednesday instead of the 4th Wednesday of the month. And we'll be having Ken Bernstein come on and talk a bit about historic cultural monument trees and the process that we go through to get those. So thanks to all of you who came on from Rec and Parks today. And Rachel, thanks for coming on to answer some questions. Hope you all have a great day.
All right.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you,
Our
Rachel.
pleasure.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
everybody.